This is always a sober day for me, as it is for all Americans. And, we may not remember where we were last week, but we remember where we were 13 years ago this morning. I was down at the White House. I was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. I had brought a bunch of my colleagues down to the White House for a meeting, and someone came in the room and said, you've got to come quick. And I actually went up to the Chief of Staff's office and saw the second plane hit and knew that we were under attack. And incidentally, this was when the Pentagon was hit. As we were driving out of the White House that day, the black smoke came up from the Pentagon. And who knows where that plane that went down in that lonely field in Pennsylvania was headed. It could have been headed to the White House where I was. It could have been headed to the Capitol, but for the brave passengers on board who took their own lives so that it wouldn't become a weapon of mass destruction to kill others. So what an amazing act of heroism and patriotism that they showed. So it's a sober day. I mean, I always call the families of people who lived in my congressional district who were killed. And there was a young man who had his full life ahead of him. He was in his 20s, really bright young guy. I will call his parents today. There was another young man who, a little bit older, was already into his career, and his mom actually lives in our neighborhood, and I know his sister. And I'll be checking in with his sister, and then there was a woman who died who had a couple kids. Those kids are now grown. They were little kids at the time, and I reached out to that family and just to let them know that we're still thinking about them, and then you spend a little time reflecting today and some time in prayer and thinking about the many blessings that we do have, and the fact that we have not had that kind of horrendous attack since then, but knowing that the menace is still there. The threat never went away. And I do think that we're learning that now with regard to ISIS. You can't take your eye off the ball. You can't have America be other than resolute and committed to dealing with these radical Islamic extremists, because if you do take your eye off the ball, it grows up again. And our nation, unfortunately, will be a target for those kinds of groups. And it's a dangerous world. We need to acknowledge that and continue to be sure that we are. Jack Kennedy once said, "The watchman on the wall of freedom." We're the watchmen on the wall, and not just for America, but for the world. We've got to take a leadership role in keeping these terrorist groups from doing the kind of horrific attack that we experienced here 13 years ago in this country.